our recording.
Well, the greatest bane of our modeling existence was, of course, the Aurora tank treads, which could not be bound together by any knowledge through our science. We tried staples, glue, heating exacto knives, and nothing worked. So you had a choice. You could do the disabled tank with a broken tank tread, or you could just glue the treads onto the tank. But it never worked quite right because the tension wasn't right. But that was a code we were never able to break.
I, on the other hand, simply use staples and forget about it. I just cover them up. Remember, a mistake swept under the rug never happened.
Well, that's true, but then you had to try to find a way to hide the staples, and even that was hard because you had to get a stapler in there to staple the tracks together once they were on the tank.
But we found a way. My Aurora, well, Atlantis M26 on the shelf proves that.
And then, of course, there was the time when I realized my brother had decided to start building wooden models, which was a foreign concept to me. He was going to build, well, what I called gillos.
I called guilos.
And
the right way to say it.
I don't think he ever completed it. I don't think.
The Sterling kit I never finished. I finished the guilos, and then we burned it in front of the camera for effect.
I thought you were working on a Zero at one time.
No, we peeled the wing off of that trying to fly it.
Okay. But some of those were flyable, I think.
Yeah, not marginally. Guilos do not make good RCs. We learned that the hard way, too.
Yeah.
I got 3 tails on the wall to prove that.
And then, of course, he had a U-controlled PT-19, which was held together with rubber bands.
Well, that was a Cox that everybody learned on.
Yeah. There were times when we actually intentionally just drove it into the ground.
Because it was so fun to watch it go boom.
To see what would happen. And you just put it back together.
That crushing noise in the background is them making more Cosmos.
But the last kit I built was over 30 years ago. It was a Star Trek ensemble of the Enterprise D, A, and the original. And it did
was that the little small one? Was that that was actually a good kit.
Yeah, I did a pretty decent job in the Galaxy class. And the others were so small, about all I really did was paint them. I don't know that I even did anything other than just paint them one color. But the Galaxy class turned out pretty well. But I've recently picked up a kit we built back in the 70s. It's the missile ensemblage from the 1960s, 61.
About the 60s, which is now made by Atlantis. Actually, I think they classify it as a STEM kit now.
Well, we'd actually done a fairly decent job the first time, but they were easy to paint. They were basically all one color.
I've got one that I started like 2 years ago, got the missiles together, started to paint, and they've been sitting in a box waiting for my attention ever since.
Yeah, and I remember those missiles in 1981. I went to Huntsville where I saw a lot of them for real. And the Redstone, the Minuteman I, the Atlas, the Dart, and the Polaris, I think, and the Poseidon. A lot of old stuff from the early 60s.
Well, guys, that's my younger brother, Steven, who we've heard on the show many times. He's here living nearby now. Unfortunately, he's got to bug out before the live stream begins, but we'll have him on at some point. Yeah. Take care of yourselves, guys, and as always, model on.
Y'all take care.